Hello gorgeous people, how are you all doing today? I really hope you're well. I am. I'm continuing from the same day that you saw me last time when I was doing my shopping, but I've had to pull myself over into the window for a bit of light. There's a tiny, it's not bright, there's no sunshine, but the sun is trying to break through clouds there, but there it's black. Oh, this weather. What can you do? It's kind of rain, sleet, snow, on and off intermittently. It's one of those days to just stay at home and get stuff done indoors, which I'm doing. I've got so many little different bits and pieces at the moment. I've got a really long list. And yeah, I've been a bit like, getting things done. So I just thought I'm going to have a sit down. And whilst I have a sit down, sorry, excuse me, I'm feeling itchy. Whilst I have a sit down, let's have a chat. Because as I've been doing stuff, there's something I said in the last video which has been going around in my mind, and I've kind of clarified it for myself. It's one of those, think before you speak moments, but honey and lemon. Yum, yum, yum. Yeah, think before you speak, but you know that I don't script my videos. I sometimes put bullet points down. I've done that now, so I can sort of try to stay on track. Anyway, so today's video, it's a little bit late coming anyway, because I wanted to do this about 10 days or so ago to have a little bit of a catch up at the end of February, to check in with all of you about how your low spend year is going, because I know that a number of you started doing it last year, and we kind of went through the year together doing it, but I know that there's loads of you who were going to try and have a go this year. I hope it's going well. Is there like, oh look, I'm like this white head floating now, and God's spotlight is on me. Yeah, some of you have started it this year for the first time. I know that some of you were going to try and do it for January, and that was your plan, just do January, and then you've said, oh, actually, let's see if I can do another month. Anyway, so yeah, let's check in with each other, let's encourage each other, see how we're doing. So, and then I'm going to come back to that point that's been going through my mind all afternoon since I was so inarticulate in the last video. If you remember, January went really well for me, really, really low spend, even lower spend than usual on food. That meant I was able to use some of my food money to buy the MSM supplements. Mike, Sierra, Mike. I've remembered it now. Although I do think Muppet, Sierra, Muppet is better. MSM for my knees. Now, it has been 33 days. I think today was the 33rd day of trying it. There's zero difference at the moment. But I think with these things, I think you need to give them time. I think probably ideally 3 or 4 months. So at the time in January, I bought 2 months worth with my leftover food money. It was quite expensive, and so the other day when the first month's bottle came to an end, I did think, oh crikey, because it's 15 quid a bottle for 1 month. I got it on offer for £7.50. But I did think that's quite a lot of money to spend each month if it's not going to have any discernible effect. In a couple of weeks or so, I'll go back online and I'll look. I did look a few days ago, that offer has finished. But I'll go back online and see if there's any offers anywhere. I'm not, I don't care about the brand. I'll do a different brand. I don't care. But that is something that I will have to kind of weigh up. I'm prepared to give it 4 months. In other words, buy another 2 months supply. And if at the end of 4 months there's no difference, I'm not obviously going to be spending £7.50 on offer or 15, not on offer, pounds a month on a supplement that's making no difference. Of course I'm not. Anyway, so but otherwise in January I'd managed to, virtually zero spending, and I did a bit of eBay selling. Great. Now in February, as far as no spend goes, I did have to spend. Of course I did. I bought the washing machine, and as part of the package, excuse me, I paid extra. I paid on top of delivery. I paid for installation. And as I said at the time, I could have installed it myself. In fact, after he'd gone and there was a puddle on the kitchen floor, I undid his work and redid it. I pretty much installed it myself. The reason I paid for installation was in order to get the delivery up the stairs and not to the street door. So that was quite a big expense. And it always annoys me when I have to dip into my savings because, every month I check my savings at the end of the month and there's a few pence extra in terms of interest, and I like seeing my savings going up. I don't like to see them come down. However, obviously the savings are there for that reason, so I'm glad I had them. But now I want to replenish them. Now the thing in February was I've got other stuff that I want to eBay, some kind of vintage clothes, some really lovely pieces actually. I didn't get time, and the house is just such a mess, such a chaos at the moment. We're looking at an angle of the flat that's kind of quite tidy. That side isn't, trust me, it's not. And the thing about eBay, especially with the clothes, I'll be putting them on my mannequin against, I normally photograph them by the fireplace because it's it's nice, pretty. If I can't take a nice photo, I'm not going to do it. So we've been struggling with light. Light for photography is rubbish. The flat's cluttered, lack of time, etc., etc. So I didn't get any eBay done in February at all, which is a shame because I could have done with it because of the washing machine. But it's not something I want to rush. And having thought about it, because now I'm really, really starting to get into that process of sorting the flat, buying, selling, I've kind of made the decision to stop even thinking about eBay, stop thinking about that kind of selling, do it all once I've moved. And it'll be a great thing to get stuck into once I've moved. There's just too much going on at the moment. So February, in terms of no spend and / generate extra income, no extra income generated, and yes, I spent. But apart from the washing machine, I made a note, what did I spend? So apart from the washing machine, I did do some spending. Oh, I like that. I love that kind of sharp moment at the end. I spent £7.50 on 3 books, 2 of which were gifts, and 1 of which was for me. So the one for me was the Victoria Hislop that I talked about a couple of days ago, and that my sister had recommended. The author, not that specific book. Last year I didn't spend on books at all until we got to Christmas, and I had my treats for a tenner and I bought the 2 books. What did I buy? Swimming at the Highgate Ponds and the murder mystery. That was fun. That was really good fun. So having had a year of not spending on books at all, and again, this is something I was mentioning the other day, my stock of unread books is really small. I think, what did I say, 11? And they're all sort of farming, agriculture. So it's like, I'm prepared to spend £2.50. I mean, £2.50 for a second-hand paperback. My area has gone so expensive. I know there are some of you who've said you can buy 3 paperbacks for £1. So jealous. Anyway, so yeah, I spent £7.50 on 3 books, but 2 are for gifts. So I don't mind that at all. Otherwise, did I spend anything else? No. February. Oh, I'm lying. There was another £4 spent, and I'm wearing it. This cardigan. It's such a lovely, it's a wool viscose mix. It's really soft and snuggly, and it's quite fine. It's a fine knit, so it's one of those I can, because we've all been layering. This winter has been about layering, hasn't it? So I've got thermal under that. I'm not going to show you all my layers. Vest, thermal, blouse, fine knit cardi, and then as the day progresses and it gets chillier, the hoodie will go on. So yeah, £4, but I mean, you know, £4 for a cardigan. I think it's M&S. Oh, anyway. So yeah, February was a month of a bit of spending and not earning extra. As we've come into March, what I'd hoped for in February was that I would get all the lavender bags made and sold. That's happened now, of course, great. So the money from the lavender bags, that's going to go back into savings to cover the washing machine. I did have that moment of like, oh, take a tenner from it, buy a book, buy a brand new book, have a treat. But, you know, we just, stop saying, you know. None of us know how finances are going at the moment. I mean, this whole thing with our fuel bills, it's going to be cheaper, it's going to be more expensive. We just don't know. This is a purely personal thing. I would rather go without a treat and put the money away and have that security. I really would. I think that's the thing with spending, isn't it? And treats and pleasure, where your pleasure lies. My pleasure, it's not really pleasure, is it? But in terms of gratification and stress, those like gratification, stress. Yeah, I could treat myself to a book, a brand new book. I know exactly what book I want. Actually, it's £15. It's an expensive book. It's a little Toller press book, and it's all about kind of crafts and the lost crafts of Great Britain. It's £15. I kind of really want it, but on the other hand, I think further down the line, that £15 might make all the difference to a bill, to a food shop, whatever it is. So we're coming round to now to what my version of frugality. I'd rather go without the book, but have the peace of mind of having a little bit of a safety net in terms of that kind of emergency fund. And also, you know, with the house move, all those things going on, there are going to be things I will have to buy when I move. So would I rather have that £15 book right now, or keep hold of that £15, and that might be £15 that I spend on fabric, or lining fabric to make a pair of curtains. £15's not going to make a pair of curtains these days, but it might be £15 that I can buy some second-hand curtains at a charity shop and chop them up, adjust them, change them, whatever it is, to make curtains for the new flat. And actually, that would be great. I would far rather that than a book right now. So yeah, I'm not going to spend. So great, lavender bags, brilliant. The money goes back into savings, it covers the washing machine, and a little bit more, the little bit more goes into the future, goes into the house move for whatever reason. So now coming back to, let me just have a glug of water too. Coming back to where I was getting in such a muddle in that my shopping video. The Frugal police are out. And I was trying to say, my channel's, frugal is a bit of a misnomer, and, am I frugal by accident? I got it in a nutshell. And it's probably going to be something to do with the title of this video. Is, for me, it's, my version of frugal is not about buying cheap stuff. It's about buying less stuff. There we go, in a nutshell. It's easy. Food, I don't necessarily buy the cheapest food, I just buy less. And that's across the board with everything I do. I think a lot of the stuff I buy, I tend to buy quite expensive stuff. Excuse me one moment. Oh, sorry about that. Yes, so as I was saying, I do tend to buy expensive stuff, just lots less. So the perfect example would be, I was trying to think about this as I've been whizzing around doing other stuff. For example, a pair of shoes. Now, frugal, I see it in social media and I see it online. I'm not having a go at anyone, by the way. I do me, they do them. But someone with a frugal, social media page may say, oh, look, you can get this pair of shoes for 20 quid at Sainsbury's or a supermarket. And someone may buy 5 pairs of shoes for 20 quid, so it's 100 quid. 5 pairs of shoes, fantastic. But the quality is rubbish. They may be a bit high fashion as well, but within a couple of years, all the shoes are knackered, falling apart, rubbish. Over here I am with my version of frugality. I'll buy a pair of shoes for £100. Now, to a lot of people, might think at least, how can you possibly call yourself frugal if you're buying a pair of shoes for £100? Who's got £100 to spend on a pair of shoes? I get it. Now, I'm talking about my life as I do earn a bit of money. Well, I don't earn much now, but like, say when I was a nurse or at the bookshop, I simply wait. I save up, and then I spend the £100 on the best quality pair of shoes I can, in a style that's not going to go out of fashion. So, for example, I've got my brogues. I love a brogue. A brogue in a tan and a brogue in a black. Brilliant. Now, my £100 pair of shoes, the chances are they're going to last me my entire life. What's left of my life. They're going to last a lifetime because I can have them resoled, rehealed maybe if necessary, or when necessary. But they're such good quality, they will last for ages. And you know what, even if they last 10 years, that's £10 a year for my shoes, as opposed to your £20 pair of shoes which within a year or 2 years are falling apart and are absolute rubbish. Some of my clothes, I don't mind much by way of clothes these days, it's much more simplified, but I've got dresses, actually some more recent ones, but I've got dresses which are, they're organic cotton, they're organic hemp, they're organic bamboo, whatever, you know how I am. And they were maybe retailed at 120. I've waited for the sales and I've managed to pick up a dress for 60 quid. And again, people might think, well, you can get a dress for £15 in Primani. I could buy 4 dresses for your one dress at 60 quid. But again, the chances are that your cheap dresses are kind of high fashion, as in, in a year's time, they're going to look a bit like odd, dated, whatever, fall apart, the quality of the fabric, the quality of the stitching, the quality of the buttons, That dress that I've spent 60 quid on, that's not a high fashion, but it's just a lovely, timeless shape, timeless cut, what have you, could last me 20, 30 years. And, you know, in 10 years' time, I might say, like with the ones that are under the bed waiting to go on eBay, I might say, well, actually, you know, I'm going to get me blanket. It's suddenly going a bit cold. Can you tell the lights changed? Suddenly the clouds have come over. I need me blankie. Yeah, it might be that, you know, I've gained weight. I don't fit in it anymore, or I just don't need it, whatever it is. Because it's such a quality item, I can put it on eBay and maybe make 20 quid, 30 quid sometimes, whatever. But it just keeps coming back to that same point that for me, my frugality is not about buying cheap. It's about buying expensive, but buying very seldomly. Very seldom. Very seldomly. Is seldomly a word? I don't know. The way I think of it, I saw this on a YouTube channel 18 months, maybe 2 years ago, and I was horrified, frankly. This person had been to like a thrift store and had bought masses and masses of clothes, you know, for the whole family. And I was thinking, well, with the kids are going to grow out of them in, you know, a year or what. Just masses. But there was this kind of thing of, let's say everything was £1 and she bought 100 items and she's gone like, oh, look, I've got 100 things for £100. But they're going to fall apart. You're going to grow out of them. That you just don't need that much. Buy one thing for £10. So where you've spent 100, I'm going to spend 10. I'm going to have far less stuff, but my stuff is going to last. I'm not having a go at people, like I said. That sounded like I was. But yeah, as I always say, you do you, I'll do me. But when people have a go at me saying, oh, but you're rich, middle class, privileged, I'm not. I'm so not that. And yes, if I've got a pair of shoes on that cost £100, that's not because I can just go out and buy £100 pair of shoes. I don't have 10 pairs of shoes that cost £100. I've got one pair of shoes. That's it. Well, I've got two, black and tan. But it comes back to that point. I'm not excessive. I'm not, yeah. I might have something that's expensive, but I've waited for it. I've worked for it. I've saved for it. I've earned it. And it's going to last and last and last. I'm frugal, but I'm not cheap. That's the key. It's not about being cheap. It's not about buying cheap. It's about buying less. So yeah, maybe, I know a lot of you are very conscious consumers these days too. It's about conscious consumerism, isn't it? It comes back to my motto every time. If you pick something up in a shop, ask yourself if you really need it. Because if you don't need it, don't buy it. And that £5 that you're about to hand over for it, put the £5 into savings. And then further along the line, if that thing was, I don't know, a t-shirt, and you don't really need it, put the £5 in savings, and then further down the line, buy yourself the t-shirt that costs £10 or £15. It's much better quality, that's going to last you for longer. By the way, expense doesn't necessarily equal quality. Just bear that in mind as well. Just because you're paying more for something doesn't mean it's going to last longer. You've still got to be a savvy shopper. But yeah, just buy less. I'm getting really cold. It's the late afternoon now. I don't know what time it is. It's the late afternoon. We've not had much sunshine all day anyway, but it's getting darker and dark. I don't know if it still looks warm. The light here behind me, it looks like a warm light, doesn't it? It's because it's glowing off the colours. But yeah, it's suddenly gone freezing. So I think I'm going to cut it short. I'm trying to do a couple of shorter videos at the moment, just for the people who prefer. And when I start talking about books again, almost certainly the videos will get longer. I am just about to tuck into a new book. It's another one that I think is going to be really challenging and upsetting. But it's over there on the floor. It was on this chair. It's yeah, I think it's going to be quite challenging, possibly upsetting. But again, it's one that I think I really ought to read. I'm going to read it. It is, looking at it from over here, my eyes, I haven't got my glasses on. It's called The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. It's about the black American woman whose cells, some of her cells were taken during a medical procedure, and they have been used consistently since for research, ownership, money, the family. Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a tough read. Looking forward to it though, because it's been on my shelf for quite a while. I think it's one of those books that one should read, so I will catch you up on that at some point. Right, I'm freezing. I'm going to go. Where's my hoodie? I'll catch up with you again really soon, I hope. But in the meantime, with your low spend, no spend, I hope you're doing really well. Stick at it. And I really hope you've made some notes, kept some notes. Are you keeping track? Because I would say keep track of your spending anyway, but hopefully what you're doing is you're keeping track of your not spending, and you are seeing, I mean, it's hard to make savings at the moment, isn't it? Because everything is going up. But hopefully you're seeing at the end of the month when your wage comes in that you're spending less, and you are able to siphon off a little bit into savings, or to overpay your mortgage each month, or huge thing at the moment, and you know, really go for it, is to pay down credit card debt. What's really annoying at the moment, was this on Martin Lewis, our money chap, the other day? I might have read it as a head. Anyway, interest rates have gone up in the UK, so everybody's mortgages have jumped horribly. So we've got this massive increase in interest rates. However, that's with borrowing. The banks aren't passing on that interest rate to savings. I mean, it's really naughty. They're making a fortune at the moment. So I don't know the exact figures. Let's talk just round numbers. Where we were sitting at 1.5% for both borrowing and saving, borrowing has gone up to 5%. Savings gone up to 2.5%. So there's the point I'm making is, or I'm going to make is, if you are managing through low spending, no spending each month, if you're managing to have a bit of a chunk at the end of the month from your, when I say chunk, it might be 25 quid. 25 quid's a chunk at the end of the month when you've got your wages in, is get paying off debt, because if you're putting into savings, you're not getting as much interest. Pay off the debt, which is the higher interest. Always go for the higher interest thing. Mortgage overpayments, credit card payments, because saving at the moment, we're not really getting much. Anyway, okay, that's it. Have, for the rest of March, good luck with your no spending, low spending. Good luck as well if you're trying to do things to generate a bit more income, whether it's eBay, whether it's a second part-time job, maybe you're doing some babysitting, cleaning, gardening, whatever it is to do a little bit extra. Keep at it. We will get to our goals by the end of this year. It's chilly. All right, gorgeosities, I'll see you again really soon. Until then, lots of love, take care, cheerio.